Buenos dias, Gunners Collective. Back at it, you already know. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Here goes another one. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Like a mother. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Like a motherfucking smack addict. Bye-ya. 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 Order, as you can tell by that thumbnail right there. Man, you see it. It's always undefeated. Now trip out. Thumbnails on posted. Bomb. Now, I wanted to talk about in a menudo style and a direct fashion, should rappers go to protective custody, PC, SNY yards? Protect me, ese. Should they go to that? Or should they be placed on general population yards in the California system or in all systems? This is the way it goes down. Let me give you the inside, the realness, right? Now, just because you get to prison and you have some type of notoriety and you were a rapper on the streets or a YouTuber or you're well-known, an actor, Robert Downey Jr., of course, whatever the case may be, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to go to protective custody. You have a choice. One thing about prison is everything is based and dependent upon your choice. You know, when you go, you know, that's why you go to reception. In reception, they're going to run all the tests. They're going to figure out what you got, what you don't got, if you're coming in with that shit, if you ain't got that shit, right? To what degree of shit you got. And they're definitely going to ask you questions that's going to be based upon your points and the questions where they're going to place you. If they're going to place you on a 4-yard, if you got the points, a 3-yard, 2, whatever the case may be, depending upon, you know, the stipulations of your program, you know, how much time you have. There's a lot that goes into it. It's just not, okay, you get there and they're going to place you wherever they want to place you. They have to make sure that they place you in the best possible position for you to get out and also for the safety and security of that yard. Period. That's what matters more than you. You're just a number. You're just a person, Holmes. If you come up short along the way, well, that's on you, that's it. Period. Guard! Am I lying? I'm dying if I am. Now, I see a lot of people lately are talking about Money Sign Suede should have been placed in protective custody. If he would have went to PC, he would have been all good. You know, he would have got out. Everything would have been all hood. And that's not it. That's not it. That young man definitely didn't choose that route. And that was totally his choice. You know, when you go to ICC, which is committee, they give you choices. They explain to you the get downs and the intricacies and the details of what could possibly happen to you if you think you're somebody on that yard. And it's totally up to you to decide whether you want to go to protective custody and function on an SNY yard amongst whoever you function with or hit the general population. Now, automatically, when you first go to prison, you're placed on a general population yard if you don't request PC. That's just what's up, man. They're going to let you go out there and fend for yourself and see if you can sleep with the rats, the roaches, and the shiesty approaches, if you can survive the swamps with alligators swimming around. Because, oh yes, there are alligators. There are people that prey upon other people just based on they want something that they got that they don't have, you know. Prison is a place of hopelessness. So it's also a place that when someone new comes in that looks like they got money and motherfuckers can smell money a mile away, they're going to be on it. Of course, they're going to approach you and see if they can get something up out of your pocket and put in theirs. And if you choose to stand your ground and fight for what you believe in and fight for yours, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be all right, right? You're going to be all right. You got to learn how to fight for yourself, how to defend yourself. But at the same time, you can only do so much. If they really want it, they're going to take it. That's it. You know, whether it be the bread on your books or your cachettes in the night, one thing or another, someone's going to get what they want. Now, it's up to you to defend that honor. So when people are saying that rappers should automatically be placed in protective custody, you know, I've seen anything to where they automatically should be put there for their own safety and security. What's different with their safety, security, and mine? Just because they rap, they got a little money, a little clout on YouTube or Instagram, should they be getting a preferential treatment? Absolutely not. A man does a crime, a man does the time. That's what I've always learned. That's just straight up. You know, if you go in there and you function with the mentality that you're a street gang member or that you're hard or that you belong to a certain group and you're going to do this and that, well, then you got to go to the general population and at least see what it tastes like one time for your mind. See, there's a lot of people that lock it up from the gate, right out the cop car, Holmes and County Jail. I can't take it. I said, when I get there, I'm going to ask them why. Right? They're not playing. Why ask why? I don't know. SNY. That's what they choose to do. Now, If along the way you get removed or whacked or you can't function in the yard because of one thing or another, you get caught up in a bad call. There's so many different details and so many different things that can happen while you're incarcerated. Doesn't mean you're a punk or a poop butt or a sucker. It just means that's the way it worked out for you, Holmes. I've seen vatos that did 5-6 terms, man, keep going in, flipped a whole bunch of different numbers, CDC numbers, and they're fine all the way through. And their last one, man, they hesitate or something, or they say something that ain't right, or someone comes in and slanders their name because they boned their old lady on the calles. Whatever the case may be, and what happens? They get placed in a protective custody yard. But let me tell you what happens, and if that man is just placed there for the safety and security of the institution, or he requests it. 9 times out of 10, you have to request that. They give you an option, a choice. You can sign off that chrono. Nah, man, I ain't going to that yard. You can refuse and be placed back on the yard over and over again and get removed and whacked off that yard over and over again until ultimately you can't walk no more, right? That's what happens. If you get removed off one yard, it's only a matter of time before your paperwork or a kite catches up to you on another yard. See, they've tried that tactic in the past to ship someone from one place to another, and it catches up to them, man. People transfer every day, all the time. Wheelers get transferred. People are finding out who's on that yard, what he's about, what he did on the last yard. You ain't just going to go and program and function comfortably anywhere, man, if you got smut on your name. It's period. But as far as should these rappers be going to protected custody, there have been several rappers that have chose to go on the SNY yards of protected custody because they weren't trying to gangbang. They weren't trying to be in the mix. Take, for instance, X-Rated. We all know the rapper X-Rated. He's beloved by all. Everyone bumps his music. They slap his music. But did you know your favorite rapper was also on the SNY yard? He was in protective custody. Yes, sir. Yes, indeed. He wrote graffiti all over that bus, right? Was he placed there? According to him, he was placed there because administration felt that he made waves when it came to the movement of what their program was going on. But, you know, from anyone that's been locked up, you got to understand that this man had to request to go there. This man had to sign off on it. He wasn't just placed there, okay? So he did his time on the SNY yard. You know, who you choose to kick back with and affiliate with while on those said yards is totally up to you. If you want to run with the chomos and the weirdos, Holmes, hey, go play Dungeons and Dragons. That's it. Be the Grandmaster Wizard or whatever. But if you want to go over here onto a different side of the yard and just bust out, work out, do your time, it is what it is, man. It's totally up to you. Now, just because X-Rated was placed in this SNY yard, which he requested to go to, doesn't mean he's a sucker or punk. It just means he was trying to wiggle and get his time on. Like I said, I don't know what led up into the details of that man's time, but I definitely know that he was moved on in the SNY yard by a certain group, right? It's facts. You know, he was there. You know, and a lot of people still respect him, still bump his music. I bump his music, ain't no thing, right? Still, a lot of people don't look at where he did his time as a problem. They're like, as long as you didn't tell, as long as you didn't touch no one weird, as long as you didn't do this or do that, there's always an excuse. And that's excuses and people picking and choosing. See, that's one thing I've always hated. You know, people pick and choose who they're going to fuck with and who they're not. You know, if Money Sign Suede would have went to the protective custody yards, you know, he'd have got out and a lot of his fan base would have felt like he was a punk or a sucker. He went out and that persona that he puts on, that gangster shit, holding guns and money and all that, don't mean nothing because it's not facts. It's not real because when push came to shove, crunch time, you went and PC'd up. So I could understand that man's plight. I could understand his situation and not wanting to go to those type of yards. He took his chances, that's it. Now, one thing about prison is it's always a chance. There's always, every day you go to that yard, if you sit there and think that you're one of the ones that can't get whacked or can't get removed, hey, you're gravely mistaken, Humps. I say gravely with the emphasis on grave, right? You're gravely mistaken because anybody can get it at any point in time. You could be in there and someone's dirty macking behind your back. Someone's smutting you up. They're talking about something you did to them on the guys a long time ago. And if they have the paperwork to prove it, or they're in the right person's ear to prove it, you can come up short on that day, on that yard, at that program, income, when it's time to go back in the cell. So, okay, you might not make it to that cell, or you might make it in that cell and never make it up out there. There's certain situations, different things that happen. Okay, so when people are saying, well, if he would have went to PC, he would have been okay. Who said he would have been okay? I said, who said that? You did? Those are people that have never been incarcerated saying that. Because let me tell you one thing. You think just because a motherfucker goes to PC or protected custody that he's okay all of a sudden? Prison is prison. It doesn't matter what yard you're on. There's vatos that'll get at you over there. In fact, I personally, me, just coming from where I come from and knowing what I know, I think he would have probably had it worse in protective custody because he wouldn't have been under the guard of nobody. He wouldn't have had no good camaradas there. He would have met some guys, some poop butts or whatever the case may be to hang around with and think he's a cool guy. But let me tell you, there would have been other predators and other people that would have tried to push up on him just because of who he is. You're not safe in the California Department of Corrections just because you think that you are. They might tell you, hey, this is going to be better for you. And in the meantime, in between time, in the short term, it might be cool. You might be able to get a package or two and maybe a visita. But let me tell you, when push comes to shove, there's vatos with antennas going everywhere on every yard in prison. It's a cutthroat world. In fact, those protective custody SNY yards are more of the Wild Wild West than anything. If you really look up CDC, them yards be rocking more than the general population. And I'm going to tell you why. In general population, real ones do real things. It's very respectful. It might be political, it might be racial, homes, but it's respectful. If it cracks, it fucking really cracks. And if it doesn't, it won't. Nobody wants to mess up the whole flow of the yard. Nobody wants to jack the whole yard up just because one or two guys are in a bad way or one or two guys have a problem with each other. Most things are going to get spoken on. Most things are going to get figured out with the boca rather than with the pedazo. But if it does come to that point, believe helicopters and gurneys will be needed. Yes, sir. Yes, indeed. Like and subscribe. Now, one thing I'll say for sure is on them SNYers and PCRs, that's the Wild Wild West. You go over there, you know, it's anyone could do whatever they want to do. They don't have to ask no questions. They don't have to fill out no questionnaires or get at any big homie or get at anybody. They just do what the hell they want to do. So if someone like Money Sign Suede was to hit that yard, you know, they're going to test his ability over there. Oh, believe they will. Believe they would have tested him to make sure, you know, that he could hold his own. Prison is still prison, like I say. So for all the people that are saying he should have been placed in protected custody, he would still be alive. Who said he would still be alive? Just because you think so? Nah, it ain't that soft as you think, bro. There's real ones doing real things over there. You know, there's a lot of people that were placed on the SNY yards or decided that they ultimately just wanted to get out of prison or they just didn't want to do that. But best believe if someone approaches them on any type of form or fashion or bad level, they're going to get off where they're mad at. A man will be a man, period. Don't matter where you place them. You know, one thing I was told by an OG homeboy just the other day, Holmes, is we are not animals. We are not bloodthirsty people. But if push comes to shove, Holmes, you know, in order to continue in that struggle, motherfuckers will do what they have to do. You know, to kill is a crude necessity, but if one does not kill, how can one conquer? And if one does not conquer, what future is there for his people? And when you say people, it means brown people. Because let me tell you, in them yards, I'm sure they still segregate themselves by race, ethnicity, and where you're from. I'm sure vatos from down south still feel comfortable or running with vatos from down south, as well as vatos from up north still feel a little bit comfortable with running from homeboys from up north. It's just the way it is. Now, they might not have no gang ties. They might not be tripping off each other like that. It might be all love, but at the end of the day, there's always going to be that little tinge of animosity. There's always going to be that I'm from here and you're from there. That's just the nature of the beast. That's the world we live in. So if Money Sign Suede would have went to protective custody, who said he would have been safe? I said, who said he would have made it? Now, that guy ultimately chose to go to general population, and that shows a lot about his character. It shows, for one thing, man, he was someone that really, what he spoke on, he truly believed. Well, his get down was really his get down. You know, and again, like I said, man, it's just not that easy to go to protected custody. They're not going to just throw you over there because Sosa says so. Orale, they're not going to do it like that. You know, there would have been a lot of whole time that he would have had to go through. I told you yesterday in a spill that I did what exactly I would have done, man. He was already placed in segregation for being removed one time or being hit one time, whatever the case may be. I don't know. You know, he should have just stood his young ass there, man, and got up out of there. That's it. That's what he should have done, but he didn't. Ultimately, he chose, you know, to ride out, you know, and not do the honeycomb hideout and to go back to that yard and ultimately he was killed. You know, to what degree he killed? The highest degree. And the reasoning behind it, no one knows. And no one should know. You know, it's no one's business. But let's take, for instance, rappers like Flesh and Bone, X-Rated, even actors like Robert Downey Jr. These guys were all placed in certain situations. Suge Knight. Now, Suge Knight was a big-time rapper, you know, or rapping producer. And he did do time in general population at times. And at that time, in the height of his career, he was a feared man, you know, a very big man that knew that his people had his back just based on his notoriety and who he was. So he went in with a different type of element. He went in with having put in work on the streets, having been known to be a real one. So he was given that pass. But even if Suge Knight had any flaws in his game, Holmes, he would have been moved on too. Don't matter how big you are. Well, the bigger you are, the more area to hit, right? That's just it. And now these days, you know, Suge Knight is not on a main line. Suge Knight is not on a GP. You know, he's in a protective custody yard. That's facts, you know. And still people talk about him on a high level, on a high note. Like I said, bro, it's individualism and it's homeboy favoritism. It's favoritism at its finest. People pick and choose who they're going to fuck with and who they're not. Now, when it comes to Mexicanos, raza, we look at that, the piecing up and the going to certain yards in a bad light, man. It's always been like that. You know, people feel like you're a sucker if you can't hack it on the main line. That's the first thing people always say. I paroled. I was on the main line. I was GP when I paroled. Okay, all right. But you was in lockdown 99% of the time, so you never had action at the yard to put in any work. You never had to do nothing because the whole time you went, your whole term for 3-4 years, your ass was on lockdown. All you did was eat peanut butter sandwiches and watch Soul Train in your cell. Real ones was out there on the yard functioning, right? Now, you got to understand, it doesn't mean they're not good gente. It doesn't mean they wouldn't have handled their business. They just never had the opportunity or were placed in the place to handle their business. So when vatos get out, automatically, hey, Holmes, I just paroled him solid. We're solid as fuck. GP, you know what it is. That's how I do it. Yeah? How many times did you go to the yard and say it 3 times fast? I said, well, I mean, we went in April, and then there was one time in December, but the homeboys got off. You know what I mean? What do you mean the homeboys got off? You're a homeboy. Did you get off too? Well, because the way that my visita was working. Now, I know. I already know. I know how that goes. I've heard the fucking same old love song many a times. And guess what? I say, I don't like Mariah. I turn it off, you know? When it comes to should famous people be placed in protective custody for their own protection? No. Ultimately, a man that does the crime must do the time. That's based upon what that man wants. That man dictates his own program. Now, if administration was just to take you and place you in protective custody and something happened to you, they're now liable for that. They're now responsible because they put you in a situation that you got hit in, and your family could ultimately sue or bring up lawsuit or whatever they want. Because you can't go against your will, right? They can't place you somewhere against your will. Now, they can send you any institution they want, whether it's north or south, Southern California, Northern California, anywhere throughout the state they want. You know, you're in the California Department of Corrections, not the Northern or Southern California Department of Corrections, so they can send you wherever the fuck they want. But ultimately, you have to sign off on that chrono. So all these rappers that get out of protective custody or SNY that say, hey, no, you chose to go that route, bro. And it's okay. It's okay. If that's what helped your program, if that's what made it more comfortable for you, so be it. You know, prison is prison to me. I see every yard as dangerous, man. There's dangerous men everywhere. You know, just because and that's where people get it twisted. Just because it's an SNY yard or a protective custody yard, people feel ultimately and immediately that there's some type of punk or sucker. I mean, that's furthest from the truth. There's some beasts and some monsters that'll get at you from behind any wall. Now, of course, you want to get out and have a good name. If you have a street reputation, if you're into the gangbanging element, then you understand there's rules and regulations and certain things that you must abide by and do. And being in general population and maintaining a good name is one of them. Everything is based upon your jacket, based upon your career, based upon what you've done. You know, so when you're a rapper and you're rapping about the streets and you're rapping about putting in this work and doing all that, you got to keep a good jacket. Money Sign Suede did intend to do that, and he ultimately paid the price with his life. He was in the wrong position at the wrong time on the wrong day, taking that wrong shower. And it be like that sometimes, you know, and that's fucked up, but it happened. But for all the people saying that he should have went to protective custody and he'd still be alive, you got your fools mixed up. Bretton Woods shit, bro. I'm telling you right now, it does not work that way. He could have went over there and got whacked even quicker and faster. Because people don't care, man. Do you understand? Money makes the world go round. If I'm on a yard, don't give a fuck what type of yard it is, and I see someone with money, best believe I'm going to approach him in a certain fashion. I'm going to wiggle over there like Crucito. Searching for his feria. Yes, I am. Right? And I'm going to try to spit game, man. Just like you spit at a chick, you're going to try to spit game to twist the motherfucker's mentality up so what they got you can put in your pocket. It's part of the nature of the beast, man. It's the game. You run that drag or do whatever, say whatever you have to say to get what they have, you know, relieve them of their shit. And then ultimately, if he comes up short, well, fuck him. At least I got my caja sopas. I'm good. You know, so for people thinking that rappers should be automatically placed in protected custody, I say, hell no, they won't go. They shouldn't. You know, rappers that have went, that people still function and listening to, where's all that gangbanging mentality at then, you know? Oh, man, I would never do that. I'm a straight GP, bumping X-rated. Oh, man, I'm GP, puppet flexible. You know, come on now, stop it, bro. These guys, and I'm not woofing on them, man, got a lot of respect for X-rated and his music and all that, but I'm just saying, I'm calling a spade, I'm keeping it real. You can't hate on a motherfucker for one thing, but not hate on the next man. You know, or you shouldn't hate, period, homes. What you should do is get some understanding, some education, some klecha, some knowledge you can't get in college before you go talking that high power shit, not knowing what it is and what it entails. With that being said, I hope I gave you a little bit of game. I hope that you move smooth with a purpose, get everything that you want coming to you. Hopefully you like and subscribe. And remember, there's a notification bell. Make sure you tap all so that you get all the spills. I'm going to be dropping them daily. You already know what it is, man. Rest in peace to all the fallen soldiers that are not here, and to the ones that are still striving. Forever forward, homes. Can't stop it and won't stop it. You know, if you like this, hit that like and subscribe with a thumbs up. If not, thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive and struggle for what I truly believe in, and that's bringing you guys some of the realest education and content I can here on YouTube. Again, I'll say this. Should they be placed in PC as rappers? Hell no. Bang, bang.